Okay, so great to see everyone today. As you can tell, I am not Rebecca. I am not Ty. I'm Ashley Rennick. I am on the programs and partnerships team, and I'm here joined by a few other colleagues from our team as well. And we're really excited to have you here today to talk about heading back to school and back to raising a reader for a new program year. We hope that everyone has had a great summer and has found a bit of maybe a little bit more rest or a little bit of ease before we head back into the hustle bustle of school. I know that with August looming, I definitely am feeling that as well. We have a packed agenda today with ideas to inspire you for planning and implementing your program for the year ahead. And we are super excited because we are going to be able to spotlight and have some of our affiliates highlight some of their best practices during today's session. And then we'll also leave some time at the end for folks to kind of share some of their ideas as well.
Trust with some pretty bad people, some traffic.
I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone. Or Christine, can you try to mute everyone? Thank you. Okay, great. Thanks so much. And so today we're going to cover all the elements of raising a reader, right? We're going to highlight some of the aspects of how to start and work with your implementers and partners, engaging your families in workshops and helping them learn more about how they can engage in really productive, effective ways and strategies of supporting their children's development through shared reading at home. And then also starting to think about how we're going to build motivation and excitement for children throughout this year. And then really starting to get into a little bit of kind of the nuts and bolts of some best practices for your red book bag rotation, organizing your materials, setting them up for success to help minimize loss. And then lastly, we'll close out by talking about those library connections and blue bag events and an introduction to some additional raising a reader resources to support you with this effort. And just some logistics before we dive in. As you probably saw when you joined, this webinar is being recorded and the recording will be shared in an email early next week with some details, and then also share some additional details about August Town Hall as well. Feel free, and we encourage you to use the chat box to add ideas, communicate with other members of our community and or the Raising a Reader team. I have some trouble, this is my minimal skill set here, in that I can't always pay attention to the chat. So hopefully one of my colleagues can help you. If not, we can always send some questions afterwards and discuss at the end. And as I mentioned here, we'll leave some time for questions and comments and sharing at the end. So we do encourage active participation because we want to hear from you. This is an opportunity to really share our best practices among this community. And so with that, we will dive in. So we have a range of partners in our room today. Some are heading into their 20th year with Raising a Reader, while others are just launching their program. Regardless of your starting point, it is important to really have a plan of how you want to implement your program for the year ahead. You really want to define what success is going to look like for you this year. And it might be different than others in this room, right? In some cases, it might just be, I want to implement all the different aspects of the program. In others, it might be, I really want to specialize or reimagine this component of the program. But the important thing is to really identify what success is going to look like, what is that goal, and build a plan to get there. Breaking it out into achievable parts really helps make this feel more manageable. So today we're going to go through the various components of implementing Raising a Reader, and we'll also be sharing an implementation plan document that can be a great resource for your planning efforts. And in some cases, there might be something really specific about your Raising a Reader that you want to prioritize for this year. So for some, it might be thinking about how I'm going to reinvigorate my staff this year. Others, it might be working to establish better buy-in with new partners. And for even another group, it might be thinking outside of the box to engage families in new ways. Regardless of your focus, we really hope that today is going to get you inspired with some new ideas and get you excited for the year ahead. And so with that, we are going to invite a couple of our partners to share with their experiences because it's really important that we are bringing up and lifting up the experiences of our experts from the field. And so we have a handful of affiliates who are going to share some of the ways that they're going to be preparing for the year ahead and how their best practices for implementing Raising a Reader. And then after that, we will then revisit these various components of Raising a Reader and explore some additional examples that may be of use to you and your program. So we're going to kick things off by inviting Tanya Burton to share. Tanya, did you have any slides or were you just going to share? Let me know here.
I'm just going to talk. I had planned on doing slides, but we got a little busy this week, so I didn't get any.
Such is life. No worries. We're happy to have you here.
Yeah, thanks. I'm happy to be
I'm going
here.
to stop sharing 1 second. Let me try to bring it in so you can get spotlight. There we go. Perfect.
Okay. So hello, everybody. I am Tanya Burton. I work with the Monroe County Library System, and our Raising a Reader program has been going on for just over 10 years now. And we work in the city of Rochester, and we're different from most affiliates because we are the library. So how we do things, is probably going to be different from how you all do it, but hopefully, we can share some helpful tips. So for us, one of the things that we have going for us, and you could too, partnering with your library, is that we do serve the public all year round. So we're not on break in the summer, which gives us a great opportunity to connect with our Raising a Reader families during the summer and to really amp up our programming at back to school time. So for us in Western New York, back to school time is middle of August. People start preparing and doing school supplies and backpack giveaways. We don't start school till middle of September or early September. So we really try to take advantage of all of those backpack giveaways that happen in our community with giving out. It could be a Raising a Reader packet. This is one thing that we started doing during COVID when we couldn't be in front of people. And it was really hard to get into classrooms even after COVID because a lot of the program sites that we work with were very short-staffed. And it's something that we're still dealing with. So we've had to really reconfigure our family engagement. So one thing that has worked for us is doing packets. Each packet, we try to focus on different early literacy skills, 1, 2 at the most. It's about 5 pages, nothing long, not anything that really has a lot of words, but what we hope to have is just things that families can easily implement in their day-to-day, whether they're on the bus, they're at home, wherever they're at. And we give tips on books that can relate to that the tips can be used with. And then, of course, we encourage people to go to the library to find more great books. When we can use books that are in our Raising a Reader bags, we do. But because we have a plethora of new books all the time coming in, sometimes we focus on new books also. So that has really been very helpful. And so what we're doing, actually Sunday, there's a baseball game near us and our local PBS station is doing a game day. And they're going to have some PBS Kids characters and we're going to be giving away our blue bags at that event. There's a pre-game event just for families that we serve, and we serve all the same families that our local PBS station does. So this is perfect. And we're going to give out our blue bags with tips from Raising a Reader. And that's a way that we can get to a lot of families at one time. We do similar things when we do the backpack giveaways or really any kind of outreach event that our community is doing. That's a great way for us to reach the families during the summer, letting them know, hey, we're going to be there again in September, but right now we're still here. You can still come and see us and get books. So that's one thing that we've done. With reinvigorating our program every year it looks a little bit differently. But one thing that our program sites do is they work and they get funding from the city school district. And I don't know all of the details on how all of that works because it's also UPK, but we also have EPK, and the EPK is funded also with the city school district. And so the city school district mandates that all of the programs that have UPK Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted.
You're back on. You're good.
Okay, so I'm going to go back. So our school district has a summer institute in which all of the sites that participate in UPK and EPK. So in our city, all 3-year-olds get full day. early preschool, and then UPK. And so all of the site teachers have to go to this institute. So it's a perfect time for us to get in front of all of the teachers and the aides that are in the classrooms and share our Raising a Reader program. This year, we're just planning for it now. It's going to look different because we just were able to expand our program, and we will be hiring more full-time staff. So we'll get to expand the number of families that we serve and the sites that we do. So this year, we are going a little bit differently, and we're going to go and just introduce ourselves and introduce our program at the Institute. But then with trying to figure out how are we going to get in front of all of the teachers and the aides again, that's really tricky. Having enough time. Like, they're happy to give us like a half hour in the morning, but that's not enough time. For our sites that have been with us from the beginning, that's fine. But for brand new sites, we really need time. So I've been talking with our early childhood department, and they're willing to make it mandatory that all of the teachers either attend a Zoom with us, or that we'll come in on a superintendent's day in the fall and be able to do our full training then. So that's great. That's a huge win for us, because getting in front of the teachers for enough time to do the full training has been tough. So we're happy that we're going to do that again this year. And then we start our year with doing either a back to school or any fall festival, anything that the sites have. And we ask them to send us in the beginning of the school year their calendar as soon as they have it. Some of our sites have their calendar for the whole year in August, which is amazing, because then we can make sure that we schedule ourselves so we can be at whatever events that they're at. Sites that don't, we really encourage them as many times as we can and say, hey, like, we know some sites are doing a pumpkin farm. Are you doing a pumpkin farm? Here's what we could do for your pumpkin farm. And we show them what we can do. And sometimes they're happy, like, hey, yeah, we could do that. Can you help us? And we're happy to help them in any way that we can. And then other places, we have some of our program sites, they're really small, and there isn't space to do a big event in their buildings. So we might stand outside and give out the packets to the parents and talk to the parents. I mean, it's not the one-on-one workshop that we prefer, but it's a way to get in front of families. And because we have such a mix of sites that we serve and the ways that we can serve them, we do programming at our libraries. And a library program might look like something, we've done it in the winter before, where we usually have food if we can, and we'll just have different stations set up in our auditorium. Each station will be a different skill that will try to get parents, give them a literacy tip for that one, tell them why it's important, and also, give them something that they can take home. Whenever we do any of our workshops or any of our literacy tips, we never assume that anybody's going to have anything in their house, because we just have no idea. So if we're doing an activity that has crayons, we try to give them crayons. It's really great when the schools tell us what supplies they send home with the parents, because a lot of our program sites, because they are intertwined with our city school district, the city school district has a budget and they give family supplies. If you can find out if any of your sites do that, what supplies they give, then that makes it easier to know, like, if you have the ability to give things with activities, what you need to give. Back during COVID, when everybody started giving out everything, there was no communication. So families were ending up with 10 pairs of scissors, more crayons than they needed. So now we're really trying to talk to everyone that's serving the sites, whether it's our school district, if it is, some of our other not-for-profit organizations in our city. We have a Healthy Kids program that does things. Like I said, our PBS station, we work a lot with them, and just trying to figure out, just so we're using our resources to the best of our ability, because families have grown to love these take-home kits. We tried getting away from them. We wanted to stop it, but that is one thing that our families told us and our teachers told us. They want those take-home activities because it gives them something to do at home. And it is good for us because even after we're in front of the parents, they're still remembering our program, Raising a Reader, the library, hopefully, when they're at home doing the activities with their kids. So someone asked, I think, what kinds of things do we put in the bags? I don't see that question exactly. Oh yeah, what do we put in the blue bags? So this time what we put in our blue bags, we had some books to give away. We had lots of copies of Bear Seas Colors because that was an activity packet that we did, I think 2 springs ago. So we have lots of copies of that left. And then the New York Office of Child and Family Services sent us cases of Berenstain Bear books. So we put those in. And then we put in information about our library programs that we have coming up. And then packets that we already had from previous packets. So we didn't create something new for this. It was just things that we already had on hand. And we'd be happy to share some of the packets that we've put together over the years too. I can send them to Raising a Reader if anybody wants to see. And I have no part in that. I have amazing staff. Margarita is on the call too. She's the one who really does most of the work. And it's been really great for us because she is a teacher. I'm a librarian. So we get to put those skills together to really kind of meet all the needs of the parents. And then,
Thank you for sharing.
yeah.
Yeah, keep going.
No,
Anything
that's
else? Okay. And we'll have time at the end in case folks have additional questions for you, Tanya. That was so helpful to hear. Some things that really resonated to me in thinking about this is really thinking about like meeting families where they are, right? And like being acknowledging of like, they've liked this. And so let's lean into it, even if it doesn't know, you know what I mean? Right. And really thinking about, great, how do we really, what they're doing during the summer, how do we fold into that existing engagement? And even with your school staff too, right? I think you have such an expansive network of partners. And so being like, okay, staff are coming together on this day. How do we just piggyback on that? Is rather than kind of creating an extra ask for your partners. So I really love that. And I think we can all probably resonate on the days when kids were coming home with 10 pairs of scissors or multiple Chromebooks and all the things, right? And so as we all are working with limited resources, figuring out ways where we're not duplicating efforts, but really working to enhance and supplement existing efforts. And that comes back to communication. So I think you offered some really great ideas for folks. So thank you so much, Tanya. I'm going to go ahead and reshare my screen, and we are going to invite our partner, Carla Shepard, to share. Okay. You all see my screen again? Yes, hopefully. Okay, take it away, Carla.
Okay, my name's Carla Shepard, and I'm created a few little slides for us today on creative ways to create supplemental materials for Raising a Reader. So this is me. I've only been, I'm a newbie. This is my second year, not even first full season of Raising a Reader. Last year it was just a mid-year introduction that we performed in our county, and it was mostly with our NC pre-Ks, and it's a little more challenging for us because the teachers don't necessarily see the parents bringing their children in and out because most of them ride buses to school. So it's a little more challenging of us. So I put together just a few of the things I've created last year to kind of help our program. So I want to show you today the introduction of the material, why I chose to create the material, explain how easy or hard it was to create and use, and then just my reflections on ways that I want to make changes to improve them. Okay, you can change the slide. So the first thing that I did at the beginning of the year, we had an intern. And I wanted to utilize the intern out doing the book handling techniques with the children. So I created a fashion show, and I actually made like a cheat sheet for the intern, so she would know ahead of time. She could look at it and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is the materials that I'm going to use. And I gave her a step-by-step, almost like a, I don't know what you call it, like a script of what she would say when she came in, and maybe what the children would say back. But basically it was taking the bag, showing them what a clean and dirty bag looked like and how to properly handle the bag. And then each child got to hold the bag and parade around the room in like a fashion show. And they really, really loved it. It was really, really easy to do. It didn't take, really any props but the bag. And again, just this different sheet that I made for the intern. And it ended up, I don't remember if I got sick or anyway, I wasn't able to go to one of the first or second ones. And she actually was able to go and do it on her own using my script. So it was really cool that I had that thing created for her. The things that I wanted to change moving forward was that, well, I realized throughout doing this at the different sites that I needed to bring, a clean bag, a dirty bag, maybe one with a rip or tear or stains, things like that. And let's see, can't quite read it. I'm working remote. Thank you, COVID, for being able to work remote. But can you read what that last sentence says?
Sure. You thought about adding music for them while they were walking around holding their bag.
Yeah. Like, like a New York fashion show, and having music. So that next time I'm probably going to bring a speaker or have the teacher, put on some fun music. Okay, you can move it. And I will share those forms so everybody can look at them. So in the mid-year, I wanted to, for us, it was like a short mid-year because it was only a few months. But anyway, halfway in, I wanted a way to come and motivate the kids. So I just kind of thought about things that I liked as a child. And my children all were cheerleaders. I had a boy and a girl, and they both cheerleaders. And so I actually got a little cheerleading outfit that we ordered, and it had READ on the front and the number 15 for read 15 minutes. And I got the red and blue and white pom-poms, and it was really, really fun. Again, I did another script just in case I had to send my intern out. Didn't end up having to send her. I did them myself, but it was really, really fun. Again, why I created it was just because I wanted something for the kids to get them excited, excite the teachers, and then just another way to interact with them when I went into the rooms. And like, this was really, really easy. Again, the only thing difficult was writing out my script. And then I figured out really quickly that my voice couldn't hold out for the whole week. So I had cough drops in the car and, trying to drink a lot of water. So what I want to change about it is I'm going to try to get either a Pop Warner or cheerleaders from the middle school or high school to join me next time and have some help with cheers or some other like an older class in the school. Maybe they might have buddies or something that might come into the pre-K classroom, because all these sites are in public elementary schools. So just another way to help me to have the stamina to do all these classes and get everything done. So, but it was really, really fun. And one of the neat things about it, we had a day in the park several weeks later, and some of the children knew who I was. They met me at the park and they started saying the cheers. So it was really neat to see that excitement lasting longer than just a day. All right, you can move on to the next one. So the next thing that kind of happened was I had, because of the late entry, I had to do some trainings with just one person. And I was trying to think, afterthought of something that I could create to do the brain activity with just one person rather than not doing it at all. So I ended up taking a sheet of paper, and everybody will get these examples, but I put circles around, kind of like a bubble, what you call a map, bubble map, like you would do if you were going to write a story or something, or write a paper. And in the circles, I put things that teachers might enjoy doing with their children in the classroom, or parents might enjoy doing with their children at home. And the directions on the piece of paper tell the person that's doing the activity to take their pencil and connect from the number one activity that they would do, and then just connect the lines. So almost doing that, the same thing that we do with the yarn when we have a circle. Yeah. So you're creating that web, and then you're explaining to them how the synapses in the brain work. And then you can tell them to take their pencil and just go back and forth between the two favorite and see how the line gets darker. And that's how our brains, need that repetition to create the memory. And so this is something that I'm going to use now one-on-one when I'm doing a training with the implementers, but also I've created, the next slide, we'll get to that next, but a presentation board for the teachers to have, like at an open house, or just when parents are coming in to pick up and drop off, or sometimes where parents are going to be coming in to the sites, so that they can introduce parents to Raising a Reader, rather than, well, not in place of, but as a complement to the parent kickoff. So this activity itself was a little challenging, because I wanted to make it simple to read the directions, because you don't always know the reading level of a parent or an implementer. And I don't really know if I met my expectation on that or not, but I tried to go for like a second grade reading level on the directions. I also found, I don't know if you can see it because I'm in my car, but I also found this pegboard that I thought Mike could use for the same in the same manner, by using the pegs and then taking the yarn and going around the pegs. So just another idea. All right. Again, my screen has flipped on me. Sorry, folks. So I haven't really had time to implement it. So I don't really know a lot of how I would change it at this point. But I'm hoping that once, I do it a few times, I'll be able to reflect on that. Okay, you can go to the last one. And this is really my favorite. As we mentioned before, most of our sites are NC pre-Ks, and the children are brought to the site on a bus most of the time. There's very little interaction one-on-one with parents. Although when I met with the director of the NC Pre-K, he mentioned that maybe we could put up a presentation board at open house for the parent kickoff. And I said, oh yeah, I could do that. That's really great. It's a great idea. Again, it was a suggestion that a site had, and I thought that I could fulfill the request. And so I went to the coordinator's manual and I looked at what we are projected to relay to parents. So the middle you'll see of the board there is the nuts and bolts of raising a reader. And it has the information about the red book bag and having a place in your home to put it. And then the next section talks about creating a schedule, a specific time. And I'll be honest, I can't remember what the last one is. Again, I can't read it from here. But anyway, the meat of our program. And then to the left are why have shared reading and why it's important. And then again, also it mentions a little bit about the cognitive information in the brain and everything. And I got that actually online and blew it up and created like a little house because I loved the simplicity of the display. And down in the bottom, I have the little QR code so that the person can actually go to it and find it online. And then to the right is specific shared reading techniques. And it's just a poster again that I found online. I really liked the simplicity of it, and had 4 or 5 great simple shared reading techniques for parents. And then I put the QR code for that, and as well at the bottom the QR code for the video. Now I'm going to tell you that this was really a lot of work. And I'm actually working remote next week, and I have 15 boards with me and all the materials. So I'm going to try to create 15 while I'm gone. But it was a lot of work and planning and, going back and forth about what to put on and how big to make the font. And I mean, just a lot of intricate details. But I really do think it's going to be well worth it for our sites to have something that they don't have to go out and do. And I'm going to introduce this when I do their kickoff orientation at the end of August. And I think it'll be I think they'll enjoy it. I really do. So then you can go to the next one. So these are the conclusions that, supplemental materials are really great to support your program, implementers and the children, and that creating these sometimes might require some time and energy and maybe extra money, resources, but that the end results are, really outweigh the difficulties, I guess. That's it. Thanks.
Carla, thank you so much for sharing. What wonderful ideas. There's lots of comments in the chat. Everyone's loving the pep rally. And I just love the thoughtfulness that you're thinking about in terms of like, oh, how would this be useful for my sites, right? Knowing that we have minimum interaction with families, how do we lean into where there are families going to be showing up. And so even if you and your staff can't be there, what resources can be on display, right? And so hear you in that a little bit. There's definitely extra work, but it's also this extra work is surely going a long way in terms of impact. So thank you so much for sharing all of these ideas. Appreciate your contributions. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring in our final speaker for today, Mary Catherine Rizzo. And I believe she has some slides she's going to share. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. And I think she should be able to bring it up.
Hi, everyone. I am Mary Catherine Rizzo. I am a coordinator in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I do coordinate the Classic Red Bag program. I'm trying to get my slides up. Does everybody see that now?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm in Charlotte. I do the Classic Red Bag program. I implement that with children birth to 5 in child care centers. And I was just going to talk about some ways to implement making it fun. Let's see if I can get my slideshow going here. Hold on. Okay. So on these are just pictures of, first of all, I wanted to just start with, and Ashley brought that up in the beginning of this call. Just the buy-in, I think, is really important for me. I just make sure my directors that are going to return for another year are still really interested and invested. And if I'm bringing on any new centers, that they also, although they don't know what they're getting into, that they feel like they want this program and it would be an asset to their child care center. And then we dive into teacher training. So here I just have one of my lovely implementers going through her bags for the new year. She's refreshing her stuff. So she's cleaning her bags. She's going to reset her inventory list, what books are in each bag, numbering her bags on the red tags, and then get them ready in the cubbies is what you see in the middle picture. And we still use, I know I hear a lot that pocket charts, a lot of people are doing different things. I can't wait to hear about different ways of keeping up. Sorry, just dropped something off my desk. Keeping up with the program, but we're old school and we use the pocket chart. I train them in the beginning on the pocket chart and how to use it. The cards are backwards right now in this picture because the bags are out in this just example. But I think, and then here's just more, I provide, we just want a lot of reminders around the center for families to remember to bring the bags back so that we can then rotate them again the next week. So just showing how we do some of those things. It can be as simple as making posters that I provide the child care centers, or they've used in the other picture their own whiteboard, dry erase. But I think one of the most important things here is just to make sure in that implementer training is to get those implementers excited about the program. And I think that I'm excited about the program. So I think that there's an energy there when I'm doing the training that I believe in this program. So I try to exude that in the training. And I say to them, if you get these kids excited about the program, if you're excited and you're cheering for them when they're going to get a red bag on Mondays to go home with, they will be so excited about this. They will run home, they will drive the program. And of course, that's part of the core model to raising a reader, is the children driving the process. So here that is in action. One of my implementers just doing her normal circle time on Monday and introducing the red bag at the beginning of the year. This is also kickoff day. We make a big deal about kickoff day. And then of course, and that's always on a Monday. And then the bags always go home on every Monday for the rest of the school year, minus holidays and breaks. So you can see how this teacher puts a lot into her enthusiasm for the program, and you can see that the children are excited. Again, we make kickoff really special and important. We don't spend a lot of money on it because we don't have a lot of money, but just things like handing out the red bags, and we do parades. or just, the kids here are lined up against the fence, and some of them are wearing red. You'll notice we call it, Red Day, and just again, just excitement in any way possible. We have some centers that will do character day, and the kids get to dress up as their favorite character, or the teachers will help out with that, as you can see in the middle picture. Almost all of my classrooms that participate, no matter the age, you can see some of these on the far picture on the right, are still in strollers. Some of them don't even walk, but we do parades, right? Because they're cost effective, they don't cost anything, but the kids are super excited to go parade around, usually carrying their red bags, and just super excited about the program. And then we bring in the parent involvement piece. We try to make that fun and exciting, and have some energy around that. We do them in person, as you can see in the left, or we hold them by Zoom, because it is impossible for us to ever get anybody to show up all together at one time in person, and we totally understand that. So we offer it again via Zoom. And during these meetings, we're introducing the Red Bag program, but then we also bring in our awesome partners with our library to talk about the ABCs of early literacy. So asking questions, building vocabulary, and making the connections with the books. And again, we just talk about the red bags are going to go home each week. There'll be 4 different books in the bag. You'll bring it back by the end of the week, and the next week you'll get a new bag. We really want the bags to come back each week so you can get a new bag. And then again, we go through the tips. But all along, we're always trying to make this exciting and fun. I've been coordinating. I was just talking about this yesterday, for 16 years. And I know that the more energy that I have, and then I, bring that to the center from the director down to the teachers, then all of us together with the families and the children, the more excitement and energy there is behind this, the easier it is, the more effective it is, and the more exciting it is. So I love that piece of this. If you get out what you put in. Oh, sorry, she's talking. So again, just some more pictures to share of these children in our program that absolutely love their red bag. Some of them, the bag is as big as they are. But after we've, trained the implementers and the families, and the children are excited, they really do run home with these red bags each week, and before they even leave the building, they're already asking their families to read to them. We love seeing that, in these pictures. And there's just more, with the kids, with the teachers making such a big emphasis on, reading and sharing books together, even though we want this to be as important at home. But all the kids in all of the classrooms where I see those implementers making a big deal about the books, you have children that aren't even 2 years old yet, and truly invested in the books. I put this in here because I love this. On the first picture on the left, he has the book upside down. You can't see this in these pictures, but you can see it, but you don't. But I was standing right there actually, we had Raising a Reader. We had Patricia there that day, taking pictures. Anyway, so then he realizes he has it upside down. Again, he's not even 2, and he turns the book right side up and starts looking at the pictures of the babies in the book. And that to me is just another example of how, we've made this a big part of these children's lives, reading, looking at books together, sharing books. And the teachers, my implementers, do an awesome job with this stuff. And I think this picture in itself speaks volumes for that. Just more children loving their books, sharing their books together. Although we do, take them home. That's the main idea. They do take time each week to look at the books in their own bags in the classroom, just showing you some of that. And there's more because we've, invested in the children and they're excited. We do have so many families that are also really engaged, and we're teaching them the importance of reading and those important tips and strategies to be reading with children so young. And it's not even really reading, right? It's just sharing and looking at those books together. And then we wrap that all up with Blue Bag events. I know I'm really dating myself here because I have the original OG logo that some people probably don't even know, but I still love. So I use this picture. But we also just make that exciting. We invite families to library events with enthusiasm. My teachers, my implementers show up to these events. We get characters to come if we can. Again, this was a long time ago, but the library is one of my most amazing, best supportive partners, which makes for an awesome Raising a Reader model. They love hosting us and seeing the blue bags come in, and we encourage library cards. And then if they already have them or they just get them, we obviously are encouraging checkouts. And we love to end our Raising a Reader classic red bag program model year in the spring towards the summer with the blue bag event for everybody, so that we're hoping that if families hadn't been to the library yet or hadn't been in a while or just needed a refresher on how fun it is to be at a library, we have storytellers there. And checking out books is another free way, right? Because we're going to wrap up the year with Raising a Reader, so the bags aren't going to rotate for the summer. So we just want them to know the library is an awesome place to still come get free books. And that's it for me.
Thank you so much for sharing, Mary
Yeah.
Catherine. Wonderful ideas. And I absolutely love the sentiment around your energy and enthusiasm is contagious. And I think that that just resonates so much in the sense of it really is something that you can feel in the ethos. And so having that come from the top down, bottom up among children, staff, families, it really is something that when there's excitement around something, it is energy that goes out and is going to really just ripple effect. And so I think that's super exciting. And that picture of the child flipping the book, oh my gosh, just like what a win of a situation, right? And just like that constant exposure and creating such literacy rich environments is creating that space for children to learn and grow. So wonderful examples. So thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. And, we are coming to the end of our time here. I'm going to work through pretty quickly. We have a bunch of additional examples to share with you all. And so we'll be sure to make sure all these materials are available for you as well if you have to hop off, but really just want to kind of keep the train going here in terms of giving you all some best practices and examples that you might want to be incorporating into your plan. Additionally, Christine, if you can, and just in case we don't get to it, can you just drop in our implementer plan in case folks want to start thinking through that as we're going through these examples? So as a lot of folks mentioned, right, thinking about how you are going to be working with your implementers. How are you going to be selecting your partners, re-engaging and securing their commitment, or in sometimes a better way? Sometimes it's very formal. Sometimes it's really just getting their buy-in, right? But just as you're thinking about rolling out programming to your families, you want to think about how you're setting staff and or partners up for success. You want them to be feeling super comfortable with the program, equally as excited about the program. And so you want to host a kickoff orientation. You want to make sure that you are offering them some additional opportunities to learn and kind of share best practices and ask questions. And then potentially providing some in-person support where you can, just to see how things are going. Because we all know that depending on the setting, it really does change how you might implement programming. And family workshops. I think a theme that we've heard throughout is that it is one of the most foundational steps to be introducing Raising a Reader to your family and getting them really excited about this program offering. But you can piggyback off of any type of engagement that's already happening, right? So you might want to incorporate it into family orientation, or if your school might have a peek at your seat day where you can, it's kind of like a orientation or introduction to just come check out your school. Maybe that's when you introduce it to families, or your back to school night, leveraging those parent teacher conferences, video introductions. Really, the opportunities are endless. In the interest of time, I'm not going to show these videos, but this is a program that actually had older students in their school introduce the program. It's a great example of getting students excited about the program and also a really fun way to communicate with families. I thought this was a wonderful example of thinking about who might be the best messenger for your program. Sometimes it's not yourself, right? And so Christine will share links to these videos in the chat. Oh, sorry about that. Let me keep going. And then we also have another video here. This is a full kind of kickoff orientation for families. So in this, not only is it this video introduces kind of raising a reader and what you can expect, but it also then goes into kind of the strategy and kind of modeling how you can engage in shared reading and kind of that storytelling component. Videos are often a great way to reach families who might not be able to attend in person. So I heard some folks say, we're still doing a hybrid model, etc. So it's easy to share, and it also memorializes messaging so folks can return to it and use it again. I've heard a lot of folks think about how we can build systems so that we're not constantly recreating the wheel. And so having a video is some great resources that you can utilize. When I think back to my teaching days, it felt like I had students joining my class seemingly every week. And so it'd be great to have something to share with families to introduce them to the program that doesn't require kind of a full scale orientation every time. And then additionally, some folks utilize kind of a full workshop schedule, right? And so again, beginning of the year, having flyers available is something really helpful in case families want to plan ahead and make sure it is available on their calendars. And then in addition to that orientation and kickoff, we always ask programs to have at least one additional opportunity where they can introduce a new reading strategy to families. And so these can be standalone events, or they can really be piggybacked onto other events that you might already be taking place. So here's just an example. Again, this is kind of a full family shared reading event that is really designated to raising a reader and learning those skills. And so that is something that can be big and open to many people. Or you can have kind of this is another example of a very creative event that's happening at your school and or program, but that you turn into a literacy workshop, right? And so they coupled this, kind of that piggyback example here. Families were invited to attend a literacy workshop. And when they attended it, they also got to participate in a free photo shoot. And so it was a 2-part workshop. And so when they came back to the second part of the workshop, they were able to get their photos that they took. So again, another way of just getting really creative and thinking about what could be really useful for families and coupling that with also some literacy workshops. Sometimes just a literacy workshop on its own isn't going to get people to show up. And so sometimes it requires us to be a little bit more creative. And so then this is an example of a field trip of the pumpkin patch. Staff here actually did some shared reading strategies during the commute to and from the pumpkin patch. So again, just getting really creative. And then just before we wrap, we're going to talk a little bit about motivating our children. So you saw some of these pictures before, but you really want to build excitement. We know children drive this process. And so that is going to be really the heart of creating some behavior changes. And so we want kiddos to be super, super excited about the Raising a Reader bag. So here are some examples of folks dressing up like a Raising a Reader bag, really promoting the program. And then there's the Red Book Bag Parade, right? Again, just lots of different options here. And then this is a wonderful example where we had someone dressed up as an astronaut, again, going along with the theme of the programming and really encouraging Raising a Reader. Something to make them excited and get the kind of really enthusiasm around the program up and running and sustaining it too. Like that example that Carla shared around the mid-year pep rally, sometimes things start to feel a little bit stale, right? I mean, consistency can be great in terms of routines, but sometimes you might want to kind of reinvigorate, and those are great options. Other programs might try to utilize a year-long theme that gets reinforced throughout the year. I had a principal share with me that they really want their students and families to be as excited about reading as they are about school plays or sporting events. And so when we come back together to celebrate reading and accomplishments in a similar way, that is an opportunity to do similarly. And then red book bag rotation, the nuts and bolts here, right? Thinking about our materials. How are we making sure we're setting our materials up at the beginning of the year so that we are going to look to kind of minimize loss and kind of ensure efficient rotation. So here you can see labeling the bags with the books that are included in here and the color coding on the books just to keep track. Also, this is an example where folks took a picture of the books that are in the bag. For our kids who are emerging readers, they can still help figure out to make sure all the books are in the bag. And then here we go as an example. Additionally, so another partner actually cut out little pictures of the books and included them on the bag. And then there's also some tips here as well. So the pictures really allow a visual cue. And then additionally, you want to make sure that there's a designated space for storing those materials. In some cases, around your cubbies or in coat hangers or even in backpacks. When I was a teacher, I actually used a milk crate that was kind of designated set of materials where I knew where they were, kids knew where they were, staff and families also knew where they were. And then those reminders. Let's face it, we all need reminders. And so here's some examples of programs that are proactively reminding families about returning bags. And then the last one here is library connections. I know folks might need to hop off. If you do, totally fine. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great weekend ahead. But I'm going to get through these last couple of slides and then we'll wrap up here. So the library connections, even though many library connections happen towards the end of the year, it's never too soon to start planning and facilitating that relationship. You also have opportunities to incorporate the library early on in the year. And so you don't need to wait. It's never too soon to start building that partnership because you have very much shared goals in your community. So these are some examples, again, doing some celebrations here, making it super fun and engaging with family fun days. And then this is a really good example, actually came from during COVID, but we know that actually a lot of engagement practices that started during COVID are still really just as effective and right now. And so families are busy. And so sometimes brief engagement or sharing in different, more creative ways in a non-traditional workshop setting might be just as effective. And so here you can see they actually did a drive-through library event and they had QR codes. So again, easy access to resources that way. And then also you could potentially always use them as part of graduations or stepping up ceremonies. And on the OAN, we have certificates for these blue bag celebrations. And so I know I just shared through a ton of information. Thank you so much for our affiliates for joining and sharing. And I really just want to kind of open up. I'm going to stop sharing on my end. That open up to have some questions and see if there's anyone else who wants to share ideas. And again, we have remodeled our implementation plan, which helps guide you through those materials. And so we are dropping them in the chat and they'll also be on the OAN to help you with your discussions. Anyone have any ideas or questions or thoughts that they'd like to share for the group?
I love all these ideas. Thank you for sharing. Something that has worked for us in the past is that we had parent meetings at the library. So Head Starts and state preschools, they would have a parent meeting once a month. And so we would just ask them to have the one meeting at the library, and then we would have the blue bag ceremony there and integrate it. And because the meeting was already happening, we just changed the location and that worked out. This year, we're having our refresher training, our mid-year enthusiasm building, and we're going to have it at the public library. And so again, just like reinforcing this piece. And then I had a question about the tips that people put in the library bag. I'm wondering what tips. And then also I love the poster the poster board that was created by Carla, I think. And I was wondering if anybody is using that sort of idea, but sharing it electronically, like, you know, just getting it out there so that when people blast news to their parents, it's kind of like a raising a reader introduction visual type thing or video.
Does anyone want to respond?
I can share a couple of the tips that we do. So we always start with how to do a picture walk. That's always the very first activity that we do with parents, because a lot of the parents that we serve either English is not their first language or they may not have a high literacy rate themselves. So we always start with that and we use wordless books, but also books with words just to reinforce that idea that you can, even if you can't read the words for whatever reason, you can still share that story with your kiddos. And then we do how to ask good questions, and building vocabulary, background knowledge, and a few other things.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Tanya. And Jennifer, I specifically don't, but I imagine we might have some folks who are using still more digital collateral. I think the idea that you mentioned there of having something, again, going back to that, something you can reuse and kind of share on a regular basis that doesn't require building a poster board every time is something that I can imagine folks would really appreciate. And so if we get any suggestions that come in our way, definitely do that. I think also even taking a picture of that, and so having that available, right? That's something that you can easily just share out if you don't have that physical form in those spaces too. Okay. Anyone else have any ideas or thoughts that they are using as they go into this year that they think others might value? And if not, we can wrap up.
I'd like to say something. I'd like to especially thank Mary Catherine Rizzo for being my mentor. It was our first pilot program this year, and she was always available for us to be able to call and if we had questions or anything. So I think that we were quite a success because we had her in our corner and we would always call her and she would always give good advice. So I want to say again, Mary Catherine, thank you so very much.
Rosalind, thank you. You know, I would be remiss if that we as a network, an affiliate network, are only as strong as we are because of all of you. And so this is very much a peer learning group, and we want to continue to make that this way. And so I just absolutely love to see kind of the mentorship, the collaboration that happens and sharing of ideas among everyone. I'm the biggest, you'll hear me say over and over again, like we should not be recreating the wheel. We've got experts in this room who've been doing this since we started the organization 25 years ago. And so let's lean into that and figure out how we can really learn together. So thank you all. Okay. Well, if there is nothing else, let's just go ahead and wrap for today. Thank you all for joining. We are super excited to be along on this journey with you as you start another program year, or in some cases, if you are a year-round program, re-upping for another program year, continuing your summer into fall months. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to Hello or your program manager. We are here to support you and provide ongoing support. So please don't be strangers, and we'll talk to you all soon. Have a great weekend.